Hello, friends. We are back for another serving of Savage Worlds East Texas University. By my reckoning, this is episode 31. We're already 31 sessions deep. And these sessions have been generally at least a solid 3 hours, sometimes as many as 4 or a little bit over. If we have to take a break for adaptation to various imps and gremlins and homunculi and weather methods that have caused us to reset, restart, recalibrate. Mics and headsets go out, batteries run low, things need rebooting, the occasional blue screen of death. So, hoping we don't encounter any of that tonight. We hope everybody's doing well. In no particular order, I'd like to send a shout out to Phil Cho. Thank you very much for all the artwork you post on DeviantArt. I continue to use and enjoy those little character sketches of some of the superheroes in their more or less human guise, as they are perfect for my needs and my usage here in Fantasy Grounds. Savage Worlds, a rule set brought to us by Shane Hensley and Clint Black. Thank you, gentlemen. Can't say enough good things about this fast, furious, and fun rule set. And we're using the Suede edition, the Savage Worlds Adventurers Deluxe Edition. The rules which I refer to quite often. Still in a learning phase, even this far deep. Trying to unlearn some of the things I may have learned wrong. Always opportunities to do better. East Texas University, brought to us by Preston DeBose and Ed Wetterman. East Texas University is a setting or a genre laid atop the Savage Worlds rule set. For the most part, it dovetails very neatly, but some of the rules needed to be updated for the specific 1990-something period of time era. Running an adventure part 3 tonight from the Degrees of Horror plot point campaign, which not only steps the dean through the adventures as he navigates students through 4 years of college, starting off as wet behind the ears freshmen and ending up as skilled and well trained seniors. It also has a lot of little side adventures that you can run just to flesh out the game, read through. There's probably a solid 30 or more adventures, 1 or 2 pages each, that you can just drop in. It recommends how powerful the students need to be. I usually just ignore that if I like the story. I run with it and adapt. So thank you, gentlemen, for ETU. I have worn my East Texas University shirt tonight to commemorate episode 31. Duff over at Prater's Rejects. Thank you so much for taking my videos, splicing, dicing, cutting off a few seconds of awkward silence and whatnot at the beginning and the end, and presenting them to the YouTube community for their viewing pleasure. Thanks for getting our little videos, our adventures out there, available to the general populace. Prater's Rejects, Praetors. It's probably on the flip chart or somewhere on my cover sheet here in OBS. Duff has presented many opportunities for gaming, practically any day of the week, any system that you enjoy, be it 5th edition D&D, one of the one-offs like Pathfinder, Savage Worlds, of course, Kids on Bikes, Aliens. Took a brief foray into the world of running these games and presenting them as a podcast. Chose to be just a little bit too much work to splice all those various vocal feeds together and get the timing just right. I think that may have been shelved or tabled for the present. But Prater's Rejects on Twitch and YouTube pretty much has whatever you're hankering for. I would lay solid money on it. Corey, you started this campaign about 4 years ago. We had so much fun playing East Texas University. We picked up these characters, sort of figured out a way to resuscitate the game and just move forward. And here we are, a little past halfway through our sophomore year. Um, and my players, my Night Steed, Rosalie, thank you so much for the artwork. I think Rosalie went back in her annals, her disk storage, and found the old off-campus student housing that has everybody with their own bedroom. I was using a map, sadly, that had 4 bedrooms when we needed 5. So these players are innovative and tricky and keep me on my toes, and they keep good records. Um, things from even the original incarnation of this our adventure. So let's jump in. Quick little synopsis of where we left off. Amusingly, a miscast ritual did change Erica, the cowgirl, and Shep to sort of alternate visages. Shep appeared to be an African American male, approximately of the same height and age. Erica, however, instead of being like 5'10.5", blonde, became a diminutive young woman of perhaps Vietnamese origin. And as the group sort of limped home after a foray into the It's a Lock storage facility, in which they did meet and defeat soundly a group of 4 cultists, one of whom was Sarah Tinsley, the leader, and made it home. And then, almost like in the old Mad magazine, Spy versus Spy, there was a brief encounter where there was a black Shep versus a white Shep. Those of you old enough to remember Spy versus Spy remember that cartoon, and caused a bit of confusion, consternation. Appeared perhaps as Ava for a short period of time, and then as the Caucasian Shep, um, causing the students to miss even more sleep as the first day of class closes in. The dog walking outside. Sam, it's okay. Gosh.
That you, Potato?
Yeah, I have the door open, and my potato, my fluffy white potato, is out there barking. So as I was saying, they came home, had that little Spy versus Spy uh, encounter, missed some sleep, um, had Lucky Charms with Lenny Gerber from next door. They caught him coming home from a Sunday morning jog, and Shep is trying to recover from a very poor, restless, tossing and turning night sleep. And a call from Jennifer Chapman. Now, I did review some of the footage from our last adventure, and I did get the names Sarah Tinsley and Jennifer Chapman mixed up, flipped uh, on occasion, just enough to be confusing. Sarah Tinsley was the member of the Associated Pinebox Business Owners. She's the one that presented the large check to the fundraiser, Paul Vanderhorn's estate, his farm, where they had a sort of a Ren fair. Sarah Tinsley is now dead. She was the most stalwart, fought to the death rather than trying to flee in the It's a Lock storage facility. So Sarah Tinsley is dead, along with 3 of her fellow cult members. Jennifer Chapman is the statuesque brunette, very attractive in the photographs from Frank Manz's house in Pinebox. Manz, of course, formerly known as Franz Heimglimmer, a Nazi doctor, a torturer, an experimenter upon the human body, who moved to Pinebox, changed his names, lived out the remainder of his 92 years as an avid baseball fan, as a fly fisherman, and as a generally well-to-do man about town. And Jennifer Chapman, the brunette, was his consort. She appeared in many of the photographs in his house, whose basement held a Egyptian-style ritual chamber, almost a chapel to the Egyptian gods, replete with hieroglyphics, urns of those. What's the word? The word quite escapes me. Canoptic urns. No, not with a T. Canopic. I did look it up. Canopic urns. With the head of a mummy or a hawk or
fancy urns.
A jackal, perhaps. And the party did destroy about 40 fetishes, things that had belonged to former occupants, the unfortunates of the concentration camp in Germany as World War II began to draw to a close. This Jennifer Chapman called and did speak to you and say, please, meet me. You decided to meet at the used books and Emporium owned by Mary Ellen? Mary Ann.
Mary Lynn?
Mary Lynn. Mary Lynn's used bookstore, where two of the players have actually recently acquired part-time job. Keys to get in and out. And sort of on a very volunteer basis, when you have time, stop in at lunch. Help me through the lunch crowd, she says. Pour coffee, serve danishes and muffins. Help me with some of the replacing books on the shelves, pricing, and generally cleaning, which was sadly the aspect of that business had sort of fallen by the wayside as Mary Lynn found herself to be quite busy and her free time and energy stretched to the breaking point. So Jennifer Chapman said, please do meet me there. There's a lot that I need to tell you. He is alive, in a manner of speaking. He is coming back, and I need your help. There's much I need to tell you. I believe you wanted to meet her at, it's like 9 o'clock.
The bookstore.
9 or 9 o'clock or 9:30
Yeah.
or 10 o'clock. I believe that you were also meeting Lenny at some point in time, before or after.
An hour after our meeting with her.
Okay.
I set up the date.
So I will invoke Dean Fiat, and I will say that you decided that about 9:15 to 9:20 would be a good time to meet Jennifer. That would give you time to get in there and open the bookstore. Mary Lynn generally opens up on Sundays at about that time. Generally the slowest day of the week, the work week, I would imagine.
Does that mean that me and Shep are going to be serving you on your dates?
Maybe.
I
didn't think this through.
Get a white towel sort of fold over your forearm, and perhaps some
it's a very unorthodox double date.
Pretty sure this is like, it's counter service, right? They don't. You guys don't actually wait tables. It's a bookstore.
Guess what? We're going to make sure that Mir and Erica have some reason to be at this bookstore that night.
Are you having brunch?
Because if we had to live through them,
I think a pencil thin.
This is all coming back.
Little waiter outfit. It would be a great deal of fun. So at this point in time, you're about ready to exit your student housing. You are prepared to go to Mary Lynn's used books and Emporium. What would you all like to take with you?
Yeah, I will take my bag with me of goodies, I guess. Because, I mean, if this lady is asking us to come meet her, and there are dangerous things afoot, last time we were at the bookstore, there was a funny little one-eyed thing there.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to be prepared just in case that little thing decides to come at us again.
Oh, he meant no harm. Oh, no. The little bat-like humanoid with the one big is it cyclopsian or a
It's
cyclopsian?
like a cyclops,
Cyclopean
yeah.
eye right in the middle, burning red. He did appear curious. He did appear a little bit agitated. But he
He's
don't
very
mean
irritated.
nothing. He just curious.
Sure.
But sure, your point is well taken. You take your bag with your goodies. I wonder if a certain super soaker might be among the odds and ends that the group chooses to take with you this morning.
I feel like the holy water gun has become a staple.
Yeah.
So I would be taking that and my silver knives. You never know.
Yeah, 3 from Indigo Montoya's Silvered Dreams shop in town. He had 3 throwing knives that he sold you, and
Mm-hmm.
Mir was nice enough to pay for it. I'm not sure if he knows yet that he paid for
Yeah,
it.
I should tell him. I keep forgetting
Sure,
to
sure.
actually say I did that. I need to I'm going to remember this time. Sophia will remember.
Yeah,
Will she though? God, will she?
but she's got
I don't think she
ADHD,
will.
so she overlooks things. Now and again, she's been known to forget important things, but I think she's got
One of them being Lenny.
Yeah, well, Larry, Lenny, yeah. But she's got the purest of intentions. So, Nightsteed, I imagine there's a cold iron, tire iron, that might be among the list of things that you'd wish to take.
Yeah. And I'd probably take my slingshot.
Okay.
Yeah.
And some coat iron. The coat iron bullet things.
Okay.
That I got from Amai.
I will.
And you look the same again.
And all that goodies.
At the first, when you were bathed in the first ray of daylight, you did turn back to your usual appearance. And Amai, something else?
Trying to look over all of this stuff
Mm-hmm.
because she has electronics. She got a laptop. She has a Tamagotchi.
Of course. You have to feed it every so often, right?
Oh
Or it starts
it's
to.
always on her pocket. Oh, I have the gold flakes and stuff, and the honey in my bag.
Oh, the little squeeze bottle shaped like a bear, wearing
Like a
like a
little
plastic
bear,
cap
yeah.
that you pop open. Yes, that's good for the dark
Keep everything in a Ziploc bag.
for the dark side ritual, right?
I think, yeah, because I have a sling and I have some sling bullets. I have a couple salt bombs left.
Yep.
I know that me and Sophia switched guns so that I could have the one with the little back.
Yeah. I could just see you guys
pack.
like John Wick style firing. Then you look at each other, and at the same time you toss your weapons across to each other and arm yourself differently. You know, that little pistol, that little squirt gun, good for short range, filled with holy water. Again, good against your incorporeal or ephemeral undead spirits.
Do we
ghosts,
have more of them?
Geists.
The little pistol, not the big super soaker?
You have one of each, as I recall. One of each, and then the big one, of course. It's about as big as sort of the Ghostbusters.
Okay.
You know, the gun that they used to suck the ghosts in.
I will replace the big super soaker with the little pistol gun. Okay. So I don't look like a child looking around this little plastic thing on my back.
All right. Because it has a reservoir, and because you spent, we'll say, I don't know, less than 10 minutes early this morning, Febrezing your housing with holy water, thinking there may be a spirit, perhaps something diabolical or demonic. We'll say that you are down to your final mason jar, ball jar of holy water, and you use that to fill up your reservoir for the big gun, because it goes through ammunition quickly, and that little gun as well. We'll say you have I'm thinking like a hip flask to carry the rest of the water around. We'll call it perhaps 8 ounces or 10 ounces that you could use to fill up that little pistol one more time. It's a little easier to carry than that rather heavy, cumbersome, ungainly mason jar.
I'm cool with that. I can put that in my bag with the little pistol. And I'll make sure I have a little attack thing with the proper pistol stuff on it. But I think that's it for me.
Okay. Sipping on a nice cab from Portugal, Portinho de Covo. Since I hope to relocate to Portugal sometime soon, I'm trying to come up to speed. And I know they put out port wine from the Porto region and what's the name of that river? The Doho. I think it's the Doho River. There's a valley named after it, so I didn't know they had such good cabs. Interesting. Okay, so you take your stuff. Trying to think, of course, there's a small disc that looks like it's made of mother of pearl, probably tucked snugly into one of Shep's pockets. Imagine you have a notebook or a book among you, a composition book where you keep lists of things, because I know you had phenomenal insight last game. I think it happened off camera, where you did come up with all 7 names.
Yes.
All 7 names of the remaining Neo-Burkun, also known as the Schwartz Guard. Yeah, where you keep a list of those. And between all of you, you came up with all of them. And before I forget, let's pull up the party sheet. Let's reset the bennies as they're getting kind of low, except for Sophia, overachiever.
He tries.
I'm going to say that just due to all the excellent role play and trouble solving, I think researching and finding out all that good information about the beautiful people was pretty intriguing. So I'm just going to drop a bonus Benny into everybody's tray just to start things off on secure. Okay, Ava, too many.
Now Shep is scared.
Yeah, you know, whenever the dean acts nice at the beginning, he's gonna
here.
get mean.
Let me
about
give
halfway
you a
through.
little bit of a leg up. Not that anything's gonna happen. But here you go.
So
we don't know. We probably won't use all 14 of these bennies.
You know.
You know, being a benevolent dean at times, if you say, boy, you know, there's something I forgot. You know, let's say for some reason you wanted to bring all those little pins with you, the little pins, stick pins that go through the lapel or lapel. One end was pointed but protected by a little screw-on fob. The other head was a little raven's head with a variety of colorful, I won't call them gems, I'll call them chips of gems for the eyes. You know, if there's something that you wish that you had brought and you didn't, may cost you a Benny.
Oh boy.
May cost you a Benny.
Okay. I mean, I will also say I'll just have my backpack with me.
Sure.
Because all that stuff would probably be fit in the backpack.
It's Texas, though. Carrying a tire iron, you know, it's probably not that unusual as everybody's going to change a tire here or there. You know, flat tires on Main Street.
I may not have been a Boy Scout, but my mama taught me to always be prepared.
Yes, indeed. Indeed. Off you go. Let's see. Of course, Erica's truck is gone as she is pulling a shift at the Golden County Memorial Hospital as pre-med is her major. She does some volunteer work. Who is driving? Would you like to take a combination of truck, Vespa, and motorcycle, or would you like to use the Vespa and the motorcycle, or the truck and the Vespa? There are a finite number of options.
We always seem to take Shep's truck, as I just realized.
Why not? It's among like probably the top 3 good-looking trucks as you are traveling in and about the streets of Pinebox, Texas, as it
Nice
has.
bright red.
It's reliable.
It's
It
been.
is reliable. It has not hit our mailbox yet.
It is not. It did hit a couple. It did hit a couple
Trees.
trees in a trailer park,
And maybe some zombies.
possibly. The body damage has been repaired, and a new coat of paint had been applied to the damaged
Yeah.
areas. Just generally speaking, with a little bit of.
Shep's been rethinking this.
Rethinking what?
Erica is the bad driver.
Yeah.
Let Sophia drive.
But it's not that Erica is a bad driver. It's that when I was a player and I played Erica in Corey's campaign, he rolled for me the what was it called? The Gremlins effect on her truck, which means it accelerates and decelerates at most inopportune times, all by itself. It's almost like
Mhm.
it's haunted, and it usually happens when she's pulling up slowly and cruising up to a park along curbside. That it accelerates and jumps the curb, hits the mailbox, knocks over trash cans, and then she slams on the brakes. You usually know when she's pulling up. It happens at bad times, like in the 25-mile-an-hour speed zones right down in the downtown Pinebox, where she's been flagged numerous times. And,
Her truck is just haunted. We have Erica to blame for her sexy ghosts. Okay, this is what I'm hearing.
There was a time where she parked it up against a parking meter, and all by itself it rocked forward and bent the meter. I'm sure she got a ticket for that too. So, okay, will you pull up to Mary Lynn's used books and Emporium? And oh my goodness, I just saw a stroke of lightning, and we've had quite enough ill weather effects here in South Denver. All week it's been raining and thunderstorming off and on. It's rained today, but it cleared up and it's beautiful right now. I just saw a damn near vertical stroke of lightning. Mary Lynn with her down-home southern charm and her Carolina accent. Hello, sweetums. I gotta say, you have left my store in pristine condition last night. I hope you didn't work too late into the night getting ready for things today, but you've done a beautiful job.
No, not too late. We did it. We did exactly what we were supposed to do, and then maybe a little extra just in case. That's about it.
Shep just looks at all the girls and go, and I don't ever want to hear another word about ladies being more sanitary and nice and better than men in the bathroom.
I don't think I said anything about that.
That place was nasty.
Damn right. Nasty.
Bathrooms of all regard are pretty gross.
Shep, she comes over and she gives you a key. She's like, I had this copy made before opening up. I know I promised you, each of you, a key, and now I'm just making good on that promise.
Thank you very much.
Of course. Yay. And sort of off camera, you have already discussed method of payment, what day payday is, how to record your hours. I guess there's some sort of a ledger book she keeps up under the cash register. It is not important, but still just kind of worth mentioning that she is doing her best to be a good employer and one that follows the tax law, and, what have you, stuff like that. Let's see whose images do I have up here handy. One that I might just sort of drop down. Wonder where those images are. So I know I have a Maryland. And I know I have a Sarah Tinsley. Now let's bring up Maryland's map. Maryland's books. Bring it up. share it in case it's needed. Bring up NPCs and drop them off. Let's see, go down to just my class dismissed icons. Type in, see if I have a Mary. I hope I do. Oh, I do have a Mary Lynn. And let's see. It's been a hot minute since we played. Canceled because of thunder showers last time. And we had a week off because we knew someone had something that was going on. So let's see, I'll drag Mary Lynn over to the combat tracker, get her on that, and then I'll drop Mary Lynn onto the map. Then I'll also look up. Yeah, Fantasy Grounds has a kind of a neat little dialogue. It's kind of like a locator. And I'm going to type in not Sarah Tinsley, as Sarah Tinsley sadly has left. However, Jenn, Jennifer Chapman, yes indeed. Not that any combat's going to ensue, but I will drop her onto the combat tracker, as this is the way that Fantasy Grounds lets you bring characters onto the map. So there's a Jennifer Chapman. I'll make her visible. And there's a Mary Lynn. I may have made her always visible. She's not going to be hiding on you and doing untoward behaviors like that. So we'll pop a Mary Lynn. And again, shout out to Phil Cho. These little character sketches are exactly what I was needing when I went on a foray through the interwebs to try to find. I mean, that is Jennifer Chapman. That is a perfect, even down to the somewhat new streaks of gray in her hair. Drop a couple players. There's a Sophie. Sorry, a Sophia. Gotta be careful I don't fall into character here. There's a Shep. And of course, in no particular order, an Ava as well. And I think I'll drag a Lenny here just to have him on deck for some shenanigans, perhaps later in the morning. That's more artwork from Phil Cho. I can't thank you enough, my friend. There are some, how do I want to say this in a PC manner? I was going to use the word derelicts. I will say there are some of the more unfortunate elements of society sitting, enjoying a cup of freshly brewed coffee at the bar, at the coffee bar, and each of them has what you know to be a day-old muffin or Danish, bear claw, Bavarian cream donut, something like that. Mary Lynn is known for, like in the first hour that she's open, she'll basically give away last night's muffins for free, as she has a big tray or two of fresh baked for this morning in like a slotted rack where the baking tray just sort of slides in. So there are people talking, and the way that they're conversing with Mary Lynn and each other, they seem to have established a relationship with her and her gentle nature and her kind heart.
Yeah, good.
Oh, we'll just pop Ava, Shep, Sophia at a table. There are others here, but I'm not going to waste time dragging 10 or 12 tokens onto the map. You can just imagine that there are people that are filing in and filing out. And
Just waiting for Jennifer to get here.
Jennifer, she's got a couple minutes before 9:15. And let's that's interesting. Let's see. Look up Mac. Let's open up all. Dr. Glenn McCann. And I'll bring back the combat tracker. Drag Glenn Mac down here. I know I have a token for him.
I feel like it's been forever since
Yeah.
we've seen a Glen Mac.
It turns out Glenn Mac and Mary Lynn have a relationship of sorts in terms of acquiring those wonderful, rare used books that he might find interesting. And she's been known to keep a couple set aside for him. Some that he's identified by title, author, ISBN number. Some she looks at and say, well, this is right down that nice professor's alley. So we'll oh, Sam with his barking. Let's see. Probably under named NPCs. Probably have it under Glenn Mac, Glenn McClanahan. See if I can drop it there. I can. I can show him. I can drag him. And yeah, you're how do I call him? I don't want to call him your friend. Your sometime support.
Is he like he's technically a professor to some of
Yeah.
us, right?
Yeah.
How
I
about
guess.
advisor and
Yeah.
fellow fan of the unexplained wanders in and sure he notices you. You notice him.
Our
He
initial
looks at
quest giver.
Mary
Yeah.
Lynn. Mary Lynn looks at him and she's like, "What, Glenn Mac? As I live and breathe. It's so good to see you. I got something for you." And he says, in a moment, Mary Lynn. He's like, cup of coffee black, if you would. And he sort of makes his way over and says, well, hello, young people. Good to be seeing you.
Hello.
Good to be seeing you. He's got just the slightest Scottish brogue. Not like who is it that there can be only one? Not that kind of or Braveheart. Not that strong of a brogue, but just certain things he says, certain phrases, or perhaps certain words will reveal his Scottish ancestry. So, top of the morning to you.
Hello, fellow young people.
I'd ask if you're staying out of trouble, but I know the answer is going to be yes, and I know that you'd be lying to me.
You know us so well.
Well,
Excuse me, I try my best to keep a clean record. Whether or not the world agrees with that is a whole other thing.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, coming here for an early treat and a cup of coffee, and perhaps to pick up some of the lesser known support material for some of your classes. Second semester sophomore year is when things start getting a little bit harder.
Yeah. Chemistry
I'm
can
not
be
worried.
intense.
Sophie, I've heard a lot of good comments about the mural that you did in my building. There's still people that walk by it and have seen it for the first time and have commented onto the depiction of those giant lizards that you made, and just the sort of the tone and timbre of the artwork. It is both entertaining and befitting a college building where knowledge is passed. Uh-oh. And just like that, Rosa disconnected.
Go on. Well,
Disconnected. I guess she was a little shy, didn't want to talk to Glenn Max. She brought she just destroyed Fantasy Grounds. He's just making small talk, sort of talking about what the second semester might bring. I think it is the time which is appropriate for you to take that trip out to the burn for some volunteer study. Certainly, Shep and Ava, you would like to go. to study the
Feel
burn where nothing
burn.
grows, the sign of some sort of meteor strike or fire way back in the year 1953. Shep, you had a vision of being in the burn,
Mm-hmm.
collecting some number of these little badges, like sheriff badges, sort of like a star in a circle. Pins, you
Ooh.
could call them, probably about 2 inches in diameter. You do remember picking them up, and that area where you were when you picked them up. There's no doubt that it was in the burn. There's some other visions you had that you can't get out of your mind without some mind bleach, like Glenn McClanahan in his Speedo trunks. But yeah, make some small talk with you. Says keep in touch. Anything you need, you know where I work. Says Sophia, I'll be seeing you on campus.
Oh yeah, I'll be here.
And
Mm-hmm.
Mary, looks
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Marilyn.
we kind of work here now, but
You do.
so
You
we might be seeing you around here.
took an extracurricular, huh? I hope your chemistry studies don't suffer. I don't think they will. And perhaps somewhere here on these shelves, perhaps you'll find a tome or two that will help you in your studies.
Mm-hmm. It's a good place to study in, so I think it's a win-win for me.
It is indeed. And you can assume that you all make a little bit more small talk with Glenn Mack about the disappearance of Jackson. He says, at the beginning of each semester, this semester and last semester, I keep hoping he'll show up back from a drunken bender in Tijuana. But with every passing week and month, I judge that to be less and less. I don't want to say possible, but less and less. What might happen. But I still have hope, and won't give up. So he trying to think like recent adventures that you may have overlapped with him a little bit.
Been a long time.
Yeah, suffice it to say that that a little background conversation, perhaps what happened at Lisa Gray's house. I think occasionally you've called for advice or the best way to proceed or a little information, perhaps on something intriguing that you ran across. But to make a short story even shorter, he makes his way to the counter, and some bills are passed across the register, and a few books are passed to Glenn Mack from one Mary Lynn. He pauses momentarily, looks at the missing persons print out pamphlet flyer, I would say, of I believe her name is Kelly King. Disappeared almost a year now, like 11 months. Shakes his head sadly, waves to you, and holds the door for one Miss Chapman, who has entered the establishment.
There she is.
She nods politely to Mary Lynn, just ringing up a register or two. I think it would be safe to say that perhaps Ava, while she's at the register, just to keep in her good graces, you'd pop behind the bar one time and just refill a few coffees and say, "It's okay, I work here sometimes." And probably you all have done this enough that you give everyone sort of an appraising look, even the few poorly dressed, shabbily clothed unfortunates that sit at the bar, just in case you run across them again. Jennifer Chapman nods politely to Mary Lynn and makes her way right over to the table and sits down.
Oh, hi.
I'd imagine you took a fourth cup of coffee, put it down for her, and probably put a saucer over it to keep it hot. And she is glad, takes a big swig. You guess, 1 cream, 1 sugar. something like that. She's not going to be particular, not under these somewhat dire straits. Um, she thanks you for coming and for being so prompt, and she apologizes for any ill fortune that may have befallen you at the house of Frank Mans, and what she phrases as uh, last night's activities. She takes a sip of her coffee.
Yeah.
She's older than you remember her appearing, a little bit. It looks like she's aged probably 8 to 10 years since the last time you've seen her. She's still an
Mm.
extraordinarily attractive woman, but she looks, you could tell probably, towards the end of, not the end, maybe middle, right in the middle of middle aged. Maybe not yet 60, maybe late 50s. There's little laugh lines, there's little crow's feet, the streaks of gray in her black hair, perhaps
Mhm.
you know, a size or two increase in her dress size, um, but
Mm.
still a handsome woman.
She, I know she called us,
Mhm.
and I remember picking up the phone and then handing it over to Sophia because I was a groggy mess.
You were,
I remember. Yep.
you were.
And we agreed to meet here because she did say that she had important stuff to talk to us about, and she kept mentioning him
Yep.
and he, and we're like, okay, um, is is the reason we here is because of that creepy, weird shadow spirit thing that seems to pop up every so often?
No,
I think it's or are
no,
you speaking
no,
in character?
no, she says.
No.
She looks
Okay.
Okay.
somewhat
Yeah.
puzzled. Looks like she was about to say something, and you caught her off and caught her a little off guard. No.
Hmm.
And she looks at
So
Shep.
what is it?
Shep, looks like you were about to say something.
Mm-hmm.
You caught her agape.
Hmm. Well, you know, the beautiful people. The beautiful people. Zip just kind of drinks something.
Oh, yeah.
She appears somewhat puzzled by a comment that was sort of inserted orthogonally into the discussion that she's prepared to have. She shakes her head and she says, "You've probably surmised by now that I am a member of Heimglimmer's cult." She said, "I am a member of the Black Guard," and she says a few phrases in German, Schwarzguard. Uh,
Yeah. It
she
was.
says, I've known him for a great many years and was with him at the time of his demise. Um,
Hmm.
I'm a member of his cult. Perhaps I'm the senior ranking member with the death of Detective Martin and Inspector Ravinowitz, the medical doctor. She's all the while she's looking around and she is giving that same keen, appraising view that each of you do when you're sort of sizing up who might be listening. But it doesn't seem like anybody's interested. It
Mm.
was only towards the end of our time together, at the end of his time as a living, breathing being, that I found out a secret. He promised me so much. He and the Neo Burkhoon um, attempted are attempting to cast very powerful ancient Egyptian magic, um, the secret of eternal youth. It is what he used to get me hooked, and he reeled me in and played me like a fine fiddle. He he recognized and used his own benefit my weaknesses, my pride in my looks. He's not dead. Well, he's not alive either, but he's definitely not dead. He lives. He's seeking to gather together his remaining ritualists, his remaining cult members, and the remaining fetishes, those jars of personal items. And he wants to complete this ritual tonight.
No.
You know where it's happening?
I do. It is happening at Erwin Rabinowitz's former house. He has a piece of property surrounded by hedges at the edge of town. It's a nice property. Swimming pool, guest house. Towards the back of the property, the guest house is where they are preparing to cast this final ritual that will bring him back to life as an eternal, unaging, breathing mortal once again.
And tonight, how late tonight? Oh God, it's so good we did this early.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what time. If he isn't on to me at this point, he will be soon. He will know that I have defected.
Do we need to hide you?
He says there is no place that I can hide from him.
I know a place.
I
mean-
We found a place just recently.
Oh my gosh.
In fact, you did. So
I
what
mean-
happened? He says, and then she stops and lets you continue. Shep, if you want to say something.
I just going to say, considering the fact that we saw his wraith
Oh wait,
eat
you think?
somebody for failing him.
Oh, yeah, he sure did.
For all I've done, I deserve no lesser fate.
And I'm going to kick Sophia under the table.
What? I kick him back.
Mm-mm.
I'm just
What?
shrugging like, what?
She says, I will go acquire another cup of coffee, as I sense there is some subtle communication that you wish to do without me present. So she pops over and allows Mary
Just
Lynn
looking between these two, like,
That's a real considerate lady for
what did I miss?
a member of a Nazi death cult.
I'm like, there's stuff in there and she can let others in.
Oh.
No.
I didn't realize how much importance. I didn't really look at. There was a floating eye monster that kept staring, and that made me very uncomfortable, and that took all of my attention. So I noticed nothing else.
And besides, it's kind of convenient.
Well, I didn't tell her where it was. She doesn't know. Just that there's a place, maybe somewhere.
Maybe somewhere.
We could put her in Mir's room.
Oh my God.
She looks over, noticing a slight lull in the conversation, and she returns and sits down and says, I understand that you have absolutely no reason to believe me. You have no reason to trust me. In fact, I would also be doubtful if I were in your young shoes. If you wish for me to depart and allow you to discuss anything further, just nod, and I will let you freely discuss what you need to talk about before I return. Let me fill you in on some information you may or may not have been aware of. That encounter at Mans's, at Heimglimmer's house, it did stop the haunting at that woman lawyer's house. It did stop the haunting. I think you're aware of that part. But
yes.
But it created an even greater monster, a Ravinowitz and Martinez Was it Martinez or Martin? That's interesting. The adventurer that, as written, had him as Hector Martin, but it's listed
I
as
think it was Martin.
Martinez. It was Martin. He looked like Eric Estrada from
Yeah.
Christmas. Just
Mhm.
Yeah,
dark
yeah.
complected, handsome, gleaming white smile. They had turned on him. They had blocked his access to the spirits that give him sustenance, that he controls. And when they died, he was freed. I believe he was kept in a body bag in a freezer in Rabinowitz's guest house, the back of his property. When those two died, he was free again to gather the other remaining 11 of us and attempt to take advantage of this bit of chaos, to move forward with his casting of the ritual. Those spirits keep him alive, or should I say, they keep him in kind of an undead state. He's hideous to behold, ghoul-like,
Mm-hmm.
dry, desiccated flesh, piercing black irised eyes, and an unwholesome stench about him, and just as he had in life, a wicked malevolence and extreme intelligence. He
Mhm.
lured me with promises of eternal youth and beauty. I now realize that I too would have become an undying, hideous monster. And I'm content to live out the remainder of my days, um, at an age and appearance appropriate to the number of years that I've spent or have left here among the living. So I told you the man has set up court in Rabinowitz's former home.
Mm.
Until the fetishes are all destroyed, he is unkillable. He is immune. He is invulnerable to any damage that you could assert upon him. You could set him alight with a flamethrower. You could
Do you
throw
know?
you could throw him against an electric fence. You could hold him underwater.
Hmm.
He will not die.
Do you know where all those fetishes are?
Yeah.
Yes, I know where one. I know where two of the caches of fetishes are, and again, this just proves to me that you are the appropriate ones for this job. For I was just about to get to that point. So he's
Mm.
unkillable. He seeks to complete his mastery over those enslaved souls. They will give him true immortality, the remaining souls. Um, Last night he called me early in the morning. Um, the tone of his voice was as close to fear as I've ever heard him sound. He realized that some of those fetishes have been destroyed. He felt those souls had been freed. Those souls are no longer under his control. He has lost them, and it has weakened him. And he is desperate. He has tasked me and one other to acquire one set of the fetishes from a locked box in a bank, which he and I have shared access to. It is where he kept old records of the times that we do not speak of. There is another cache that I'm hoping I can convince you to retrieve.
What is it?
They're in Pinebox Cemetery, and she will tell you it is in a mausoleum of urns, and she will give you the number of the little, I don't want to call it a shoebox. What would I call it? The little slot where that urn would would reside. And she's like, I don't know what else I can tell you to convince you. You know by now that each soul is bound to this monster by a fetish, a personal item um, belonging to the person when they were alive. He split his trove into 3 separate areas now. It was 4 last night, but I've deduced that you are the ones that destroyed the ones at the garage facility. That facility is owned by one of our other members.
Oh, something happened at the garage? Huh.
Good thing. Something happened.
He knows. He felt as they were destroyed, one by one or 5 at a time. He felt himself weaken, and he is afraid and desperate to gather them together, as he will be using their essences, their souls, their spectral presences, um, to feed his desire to once again walk the earth as a living man. The evil that he performed over the years is unmentionable. I think I can say I don't know much about what went on, just bits and pieces and hints of the records that I have surveyed. And he must be stopped. I'm hoping that I can convince you that this is not an elaborate ruse to entrap you, because that's what I would be worrying about if I was sitting across from me. She rattles off these 6 names of the other surviving Neo Burkhoon. She tells you the E222 garage. She says there was a larger garage where this ritual was supposed to have occurred, one of the Winnebagos or camper size storage units there on site, more towards the rear of the facility, more towards the rear of the fenced lot. But he grabbed the fetishes from that garage and took them to Rabinowitz's home, his estate. He's had those under him relocate some of the items, the, the trappings of his ritual, ancient hieroglyphics scribed onto modern, paper mache chunks of slate, the porcelain and ceramic sphinxes, any Egyptian symbology that he could glean power from. The souls must be released from bondage. It's the only way. And only then would he be vulnerable to physical assault.
Okay.
I'm wondering what I can give you in exchange for help, if indeed you require something other than the knowledge that you're stopping a Nazi monster from once again walking and inflicting evil upon those around him.
I look over at Shep before I say anything.
As long as we can, as long as we get through this, I guess we can. We can chat about any compensation that might be needed afterwards. Depends on what happens. Somebody might decide to run over zombies with somebody else's truck.
When has that ever not worked?
One day, somebody will make millions
My tactics are effective, okay?
with a computer game about running over zombies in a truck.
I would totally play that.
Myself and an individual named Kieran Hunt have been tasked with immediately meeting, he holding Mans's Heimglimmer's key, me with in possession of my key, as it takes both keys to open up the lockbox and to acquire those fetishes. And
Are
then
you going to be there at Rubinowitz? It's wow, I butchered that.
she slides across the table a card, and she's got it. It's like a business card. It's flipped over, and it has her home address on it. She says,
Mm.
"Bring the fetishes to my home, and I will meet you there. I will disable or kill Kieran, as he would kill me had he did he find out that I have turned my back on the cult."
Why do we need to bring them to your home? We can't just destroy them in the cemetery?
No, they need to be brought to my home because I am developing a counter ritual to the ritual which Heimglimmer will cast later on in the evening, and it may provide us with a way of weakening him even further.
I guess burning can't solve everything.
We can't run everything over with a truck. It's a good strategy.
That wasn't.
Doesn't always work.
I actually was thinking, like, oh, I guess we can run over the fetishes if they won't burn.
I mean,
This is your fault, Shep. You're the one who started the truck shenanigans.
I'm just saying we should probably just use the Vespa and the motorcycle to go anywhere from now on.
I'm okay with
That's
that.
like a 2-seater at most, at best.
And those fetishes consisted of, among other things, a pair of spectacles, locks of hair, a bone from a finger or a toe, a prayer book, a glass eye, um, a piece of jewelry, say like a Star of David, with sort of a hole on it that made you believe it was hung around one's neck by a chain at one time, a tooth. I may have mentioned one or two or perhaps three other things, but these are just the types of items that tie the spirit of Heimglimmer to those dead.
So it's safe to assume that what we're going to fetch is not going to necessarily be cumbersome.
No, it would probably be if you were to carry a bouquet of roses in a ceramic or glass vase, it would be similar to that in terms of how much care you would have to take. Like you wouldn't want to be throwing it against a wall. Even if the urn broke, probably wouldn't damage the items inside. Depending.
Okay.
Hmm.
That's good to know. Because sometimes our life gets a little hectic.
She looks at you expectantly, her eyes bright.
Yeah, I think.
Well, I guess we need to get to it, huh?
Yeah, I think that it could work out.
You have my home address to bring the fetishes. I will meet you there. I will disable or kill Kieran.
Ooh.
I will have a strong box, a lock box, with the other set of fetishes.
Is there anything that I can roll that is kind of like the insight equivalent of Savage Worlds?
You can roll your smarts against my persuasion or performance. She hasn't really tried to be intimidating, so I would discount that as a possibility.
Can I roll my ritualism to see if I think that her actually producing a counter ritual is so, something believable,
Sure.
knowing my background?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Sophia's just staring over the door, trying to catch to see if Lenny made it to the inn yet.
Okay. Um,
I don't know how much time has passed.
That ADHD brain.
And I
It
guess
gets
I'm
worse
still
when the
50.
glasses are off.
I know.
-3 to notice.
Ava, you sense nothing evasive or lying in her presentation. Even if you don't believe her, you think she believes herself. And there is an air of desperation to her as well that, you're really all I have left to rely on sort of attitude. That if we don't stop him here and you don't help me, then she's resigned to her fate. And you believe her that she says, if he finds out, when he finds out, because he will find out soon, that it is I who turn my
He's
back
gonna
on
be the
the
one
cult.
to pay.
Yeah, he will exact his revenge for my betrayal.
Mm.
Yeah, Shep, there were a whole lot of mythological um, occurrences, stories, myths, fables, lore, epics, where creatures of power have been weakened by other rituals.
Yeah,
The
I was.
banishment ritual is probably the one that you're the most familiar with. And
Yeah,
some of the rituals you cast have an opposing. Like there was a ritual that lets you raise an attribute. It can also be
hmm
turned around and caused to lower another's attribute, which, in a manner of speaking, you could say weakens an opponent.
I guess what I'm really trying to figure out is how using the tokens of that's binding spirits here against their will to power him is actually going to do anything. I think that's where Shep's kind of.
Sure, it's a fair question. Um, you saw the joy, the serene peace briefly on the faces of the 40 spirits that you have already freed. These were good people. These were honorable people that were kept in torment. Um, it's probably not that much of a leap to think that any chance that they'd be given to take a bit of revenge upon Heimglimmer
Okay.
in order to free themselves, or as part of that, they would leap at the opportunity before they went on to their own just reward. There was um, back at the man's house, you encountered the spirit of Amy
hmm
Resnick, a young girl, an aspiring musician, tortured to death. Perhaps, if I recall that module, she was the first of his victims. There was a rabbi named
hmm
Joshua who communicated with the small gray boy.
Mm.
Um, you haven't been exposed to too many rituals, but the healing ritual is powerful magic. The flying ritual, which you have yet to cast, is powerful, powerful magic. The ability to run up a tree as easily as you could run down a sidewalk is powerful magic. Um, burning adversaries with boiling fish soup that you evoke from a little abalone shell is powerful magic. I don't think it's beyond possibility that there is a ritual which would strip away a layer of protection
hmm
about him.
Yeah, he's not going to do it now, but as part of that, he will probably try to talk with Tonte.
Okay,
Yeah, just to go in with the role to hear you out.
absolutely. She looks at you. She says, don't have much to offer other than my word and a promise that it's important that we do this. It's important we accomplish
Mhm.
this task. And if there's anything that you can ask me that I can answer and give you more confidence in me, or perhaps fill in any questions you might still have
Who was
remaining,
tasked to go to the cemetery? Do you know?
I do. Charles
Mm,
Browning and Finley Harris.
okay.
Harris has a magic lighter, which he's very proud of.
Magic lighter. What does it do?
It,
Hmm.
it emits a gout of flame.
Okay.
Ooh. Oh boy. Like a flamethrower?
Oh Lord.
Similar.
Oh no.
I don't know how far a flame shooter shoots flame, but similar idea.
Well,
I guess we know who's going to claim that one.
gosh.
Hopefully, somebody with the shooting skill.
I was just thinking of the local firebug.
Yeah.
I think. Okay, so these other people are supposed to be heading to the mausoleum, so we're basically going
Right.
to be
Right. Browning and Harris.
yeah,
She gives you
which are
physical descriptions.
they are on my list.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
They are on the
Yeah.
list.
You won't
You'll
by
get
by
them.
accident assault some elderly gentleman and his son visiting, the grave of the stepmom or something like that.
That could be a problem.
Unless it's that
Right?
evil little kid.
Right?
Son of Chucky.
Might as well be. This gosh. Gotta go up against a man with a magical flamethrower.
We have water. Think about that.
But not that much water.
Hmm.
Do you have
So,
enough
Shep
to
has
make
soup.
so tell me, ma'am, how much intel do you guys have about us?
That's a good question, actually.
Hmm. I don't have any intel at all. I don't I don't know of your capabilities. I know that you investigated Heimglimmer's former house. I know that you bested his servant, his staunch undead revenant in the basement. I know that you've seen me represented in several of the photographs
Mm-hmm,
in the
mm-hmm.
house. I know that you were involved in the death of Detective Hector Martin and Irvin Ravinowitz. But perhaps the newspapers would have given me that information. Um, I know
Yeah.
Sarah Tinsley with Heimglimmer all but disabled, a specter of what he once was, fashioned herself the new leader of the Neo Burkhoon, the Schwarzguard, and she
Hmm.
had tried to recruit me as her second to turn our backs on Heimglimmer and to consolidate our power and use the rituals and teachings to her own or to our own benefit.
Oh. So you're not the only one who's trying to get him out of the picture.
I wish to see him destroyed. She wished to use the power that he had gathered from the spirits to her own ends,
Oh, I see.
perhaps under the guise of still serving him, but not really.
Yeah.
The other three were weak-minded and not as staunch allies as one could hope. He preyed upon each of them using their own weakness, hubris, a desire for wealth, a desire for knowledge, a desire to right some real or imaginary wrong from long ago, to exact revenge upon a former um, competitor for the hand of someone they loved. Everyone had their own story. She gets up and says, I should be leaving. I hope to see you again soon.
Thank you. And just one last question.
Of course.
So we probably are known by all of his associates by sight, correct? They know who we are.
Oh, good
I
question.
don't think so. My guess
Okay.
is that the ability to identify you died with Sarah Tinsley.
Okay.
And
Because
me
she
as
got a little bit of a surprise, so I was just wondering.
Yeah.
okay.
Hmm.
I mean, as the dean, I'm making sure that I'm not misspeaking, and I really don't think that Heimglimmer has any way of really identifying you. I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm trying to think, would he have gleaned that information from the spectral essence of Martin and Ravinowitz? I don't think so. Um, he supped on the final sort of dram of their essence, but I don't think he really had any ability to like commune with them or something like that. Now, there's a possibility. She says there is magic that would allow one to speak with the dead,
Hmm.
and I cannot say one way or another if he or those that follow him possess that knowledge. I suppose it's possible. I don't know.
Okay. And just one other thing. Does Heimglimmer have some sort of bat creature that he uses to scout? Does he have a familiar?
No, he has nothing like that that I know of. And I spent
Okay.
many years with him until he died, and then have conversed with him briefly since his passing.
Okay.
He has no familiar.
Okay.
If he did, it
Thank you. I
wouldn't.
guess.
If he did, it wouldn't be a bat creature. It would be something like an asp, something Egyptian in nature,
Hmm. Okay.
a jackal,
Yeah, that's what I would have thought.
Just
a
just
scarab,
wondering.
a scarab.
And you would think that the ancient gods of Egypt would really not like him using their desecrating their tombs and taking their stuff, but I guess to each their own.
Right.